Good morning and welcome to episode 19 of the Grey Nomad Knits. Firstly, I'd like to say a great big thank you to everyone who watches my channel. It means so much to me, especially the beautiful comments that you leave as well. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to all our new subscribers. It's such a joy to welcome you here on my channel, and I hope that you enjoy watching. I don't always have a lot of finished objects to show because I really only get a couple of hours at night to do work on my projects. So I'm not a terribly fast knitter or crocheter, but I hope you enjoy what you see, and at least I can report to you any problems or hiccups I have with my projects along the way. I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia. So down here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're having our summer at the moment. And I'm very envious to all the Northern Hemisphere people. I keep seeing on Instagram and on Facebook all the reports of the lovely cold temperatures. I'd just like you to know that on Christmas Day we had a temperature of 43, I think it was, Celsius. And on Boxing Day it was almost 44. It was actually over 40 every day for nearly a week. Our daughter came to us on Christmas morning and actually stayed for a week because she can't afford to get air conditioning in her unit just yet. So she and her cat arrived and we had the pleasure of their company for 5 or 6 days over Christmas. And I'm not complaining, it was lovely to have them. We were supposed to go to Brisbane for Christmas, but our borders got shut again. We could go to Brisbane, but we wouldn't have been able to get back home, which seems a bit ludicrous, I know, when it's just one country. But that's the way it is here. So we had to, at the last minute, cancel our trip to Brisbane. We were going to spend Christmas with our youngest daughter over there, who's done it a little bit tough over the COVID times. So she was really looking forward to seeing us, and we were very upset and disappointed that we couldn't go. However, the plan B is our borders are finally opening on the 5th of February, and we're planning to go and have a week with her in May. So we're looking forward to that, but we're not booking anything till after we know the borders are actually open. So Christmas in the end for us was a very rushed affair, and with the heat we had to think on our feet. So we bought a couple of barbecue chickens from a local fast food chicken store on Christmas Eve, and a couple of tubs of coleslaw. We bought some packets of frozen roast potatoes, so that was all that had to go in the oven on Christmas Day. And I made some other salads. I know that's not a traditional Christmas dinner, but as it was 43 degrees and on very short notice, it was the best I could do. And in the end, we had a really lovely day. My sister and her husband came over, and our daughter came with her cat, of course, and it was actually really, really pleasant. We had the air conditioner running like for a week non-stop, and we all, I think, quite enjoyed our day. So all's well that ends well. If you're looking for me on Ravelry, you can find me. I am JillyMG, or on Instagram I am JillyMG60, which is 60, and I'll put all that in the show notes at the bottom. I also have started a Ravelry group just called the Grey Nomad Knits. So if you'd like to get on there and introduce yourself, to all the people who have done so far, I'm going to have a little giveaway at the end of this episode. So stay tuned to see if you're one of the lucky winners. I'm going to try and think of a new thread to put on there this week. Could possibly be show us your latest finished object, and then we'll let that run for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then we'll have a prize draw as well at the end of that one. Okay, a little update on my daughter's shop, Miss Melrose Art. She's designed something, gone into a new line. She's designing colouring in pages, and They're very typical of her designs, beautiful flowers, and you can print them yourself and you can print them on card if you want to make them into a birthday card. And this is her newest one. I'm not quite sure if it's on her Etsy shop yet, but it will be very soon. And this is, she's doing this one, done this one for Valentine's Day. So if you want to give a Valentine's Day card to that special person in your life that you can colour in yourself and make it whatever colours you like, I'll put the link to her shop in my show notes. And yeah, she's put so much work into these, and I think you can download them for like $2 something Australian. So they're really good value, and just print them out, colour them in, and then you've got a beautiful card to give to that someone special in your life. Okay, so moving on to my works in progress. Firstly, I want to talk about my COVID quarantine blanket, and all the squares are designed by Anne and Carlos, except for 1 or 2 squares in it that other people sent in to their show. I have actually worked on a 2021 square for all those who were interested. I'm not going to show you it yet because I haven't blocked it out. And I'm not going to show you the blanket today because it's in a big mess, because I'm going to start sewing it up this afternoon. But I am going to insert a photo so that you can see how it's looking. Now you'll see a lot of loose ends that aren't sewn in yet, because as I join the squares, that's when I sew the ends in. Now in this photo, the bottom 16 2 rows of squares are all sewn together. The top half is not sewn together, but I wanted to just lay them all together so you could get an idea of what they look like. So here it is. And also I've only got a couple of squares left to do. So when you look at this photo, you'll see the rectangle shape. Then down one side of that rectangle, I'm going to put one more single strip of squares, and then that's it done. I'm going to probably do just a very plain garter stitch border. Depending on how much of my dark yarn I have left, I may have to put a stripe or 2 in of a different colour, but I'll see how I go. So here it is, my Anne and Carlos quarantine blanket, almost done. The next thing I'd like to show you is my Carenza cardigan by Jennifer Wood from Woodhouse Knits. I just want to show you how messy this pattern's getting. Look, I did print this one out. I've also got it on my Knit Companion because it involves many charts. Now when I printed this out, our printer was playing up. So there's no point me showing you, I probably can show you here. But see how it went all stripy? So you can't really see what it's like. That's the back. Maybe you can see the cables, how it looks down the back. Now, the update on the sleeves. When I pick up the sleeves under here, I've picked up an extra 8 stitches. And in the cable panel down the side, I've added in an extra 10 stitches. So that's an extra 18 stitches on this biggest part of my arm. And it's still a tight fit. But I'm hoping by winter it will fit. So I am actually really happy with it and still enjoying it. I think I'm going to be okay for yarn. I have finished the first sleeve. I'm just going to try and hold it up and show you. Oops. I've got yarn hanging off everywhere. So this is the first sleeve all done. There's a lovely little edging, basket weave edging done on the cuffs. Can you see that? And the cable down the top of the sleeve is beautiful. I'm trying to hold it so you can see it. And this, of course, will stretch out when it's on my arms. So it starts off there, and that's how it's supposed to be the whole way down. But I decided to put increases in, which makes it flare out. So you can see as it goes down, it becomes this lovely sort of almost 3-panelled section. And I got to a certain width, and then I just continued that all the way down to the cuff. I'm really happy with how it looks and how it turns out. I'm looking forward, actually when I get the other sleeve done, I'll be able to put it on a bit better, because at the moment it's really hard to get it on because I've only got one sleeve. And I think when both sleeves are in, I'll be able to actually try it on like a proper cardigan and see how it's going. I've got some weights out there, so I have to start doing some weightlifting with my arms to tone them up a bit. Now, the wool update, I have got this, just let me get it and show you. This is how much I've got that I've just started using on this sleeve. So I think that will get me a fair way down, and I'll probably need to use a new ball about halfway down the sleeve. I've got this much left still attached to the body, and I've got 4 balls left. So one of these will definitely need to finish the sleeve. Then I'm thinking 2 for the body, and then when they're done, that's just the length it's going to have to be, and then this one for the collar. I might actually see if I'm able to put the collar on before I finish the body. I'm not sure of the construction yet, so I'll have to read through the pattern. If I can do that, then it means I can just keep knitting for as long as I can. That's an idea. I think that's what I'll do. It's a real yarn management project, this one. And this yarn, I think I've mentioned it to you before. I bought from Bendigo Woolen Mills, and it's a 5-ply, and it just says 100% pure wool. And the colour is khaki fleck. 5-ply in Australia, that's the equivalent of a sport weight yarn. It's a shame there's not more patterns designed for this weight yarn, because here especially in Western Australia, it suits our climate so well. Our winters rarely get below 12 degrees, and mostly they average about 17 degrees Celsius each day. So a sport weight cardigan or jumper is the perfect weight for our winter. I certainly don't really go much higher than an 8-ply or DK weight, because you just get too hot in them. I to live in a lovely cool climate where we can enjoy our hand knits a little more. Anyway, I think I'll probably have enough. There's it doesn't say how many meters are in each ball, but because they're only 50-gram balls, but because it's sport weight, there is quite a lot of wool in there. So I'm hoping I'm going to manage it okay. I'll definitely have a look at the pattern this week and see if I can do that with the collar. That would work out really well, because then I can just keep knitting the body till I run out of wool, which would be great because I'd have no leftovers to deal with either. So that's my Carenza cardigan by Jennifer Wood, and I shall put the link in the show notes below. I would highly recommend any of the Woodhouse Knits patterns. This is the second one that I've made. I did make another one that a friend bought off me. She tried it on at our knit night and she loved it so much, and it fitted her much better than it fitted me. I'll just put a photo in here to show you. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is the little table runner I'm doing for my daughter's tea coffee making station. I've only got 2 squares left to do and then a border. Here's my pile of squares. Look at those colours. Can you see the gold fleck in the coloured ones? So the navy blue ones are just a plain, very plain square. And then all of the coloured ones are a different pattern. The pattern is, I've used this book here, The Granny Square Academy by Shelley Husband. And this is a brilliant book. If you want to make a crochet blanket or something similar to this, and you're new to crochet, pardon me, this gives you wonderful instructions. Just for example, and each square you learn a new technique as well. I'm just going to take you to the very first square because it's just a plain square that most people know how to do. She calls it the Solid Sue square. Now before she does the pattern, she gives you 2 or 3 pages of step-by-step instructions on how to do the techniques in that square. She uses different colours so that it's easy for you to see what she's doing. So by the time you get to the pattern, you've learned all the techniques that you will need for that square. She then does the pattern in English terms or UK terms and American terms. So whichever you use, she has both, which I think is wonderful, because if you're new to crochet, it gets very confusing as to single crochet, double crochet, treble, double crochet, you know, all being the same stitch but called different names. Then after the pattern, she has like a step-by-step picture chart of her making the square. So if you're not quite sure where to stick your hook or something like that, you know, she uses a needle to show you. So I highly recommend this book. She also has these squares on her YouTube channel. So if you're still a bit stuck after reading the patterns in here, you can go onto her YouTube channel and watch her actually making the squares. I've actually, the first half a dozen patterns, I did that, but now I'm feeling confident that I only need to use the book. So maybe I'm progressing. I'll have to keep doing crochet so I don't forget all I've learned. So this is one of the pink squares I've done. So this one's got a circle in the middle, and then it becomes a square. And this one's using, I can't remember if it was front post stitches or back post stitches, but you come up with these beautiful ridges. I think that's lovely. How's that gold fleck? Now this yarn, by the way, is Stylecraft DK. Now some of it I bought from Wool Warehouse in the UK, and I would recommend them to anyone, no matter where in the world you are. They, you know, England and the UK and Australia are a long way apart. We're the other side of the globe. And I can put an order in, and the postage is very reasonable. And pre-COVID times, I'd have it in like 10 days. Now it takes about 2.5 to 3 weeks, but I still think that is pretty good. Other skeins of this yarn, mostly these bright colours, I bought from our shop called Knit Pearl Sew here in Perth, over in Malaga, a suburb called Malaga. They're not selling it anymore, but I was very lucky that they had a few balls left of the sort of colours that my daughter wanted. So I'll put a link to their shop in the show notes, and if you live in Perth, you might like to give them a visit, because although they don't sell this anymore, they sell a lot of the sheepies yarn, and they have a really nice premium acrylic now, and that's what they've used to replace this one. They have lots of beautiful premium yarns there, and very well priced, and lots of accessories, lots of books. It's certainly well worth a visit. And although they're not on a train line, they have lots of free parking, which to me is a bonus. So this is some of the other squares. This one. This one. This was I think front post stitches or back post. I can't remember which. And you can't really see, but it gives a different texture, whatever stitch this was. It doesn't really show up in this. I think it would show more in just a plain white yarn, but that's a really nice one. This one. So they're just all slightly different. I did this one the other night, and yet this teaches you to do cluster stitches. So that'll all even out when they're joined together. And this one I did just as the solid Sue square as well, because I wanted one of the squares just plain. And do you know what? I love that. Sometimes simplicity gives the best effect. Do you think? I'm starting to think I maybe should have done them all in this pattern. But I really wanted to use this as a learning experience to learn new stitches. Here's another one. That's got a circle in the middle. And then that's all. I've only got 2 coloured squares left to do. So I think I'm probably going to do another orange one and another blue one. And then I shall crochet them all together. And then I shall find a nice border to put around the edge. I want to do the border perhaps about 1.5 inches. I like a nice deep border, so I'll have to try and find some nice border patterns. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the notes below of links to something I could use to find a nice border pattern. Nothing too complicated because knitting is my main go-to, not crochet. So yeah, I don't know how long that's going to take to finish, but it shouldn't be too long now, I wouldn't think. And I'm actually really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying crochet a lot more than I ever thought I would. And I think now that I've been doing a bit more of it, especially with the bags I've been making, I'm becoming more confident, and the structure of like where to join or how to know when you're at the end of the row, all that sort of thing is becoming more clear to me. Because that's where I always struggled. And in the past, if I've tried to crochet a square, the sides would go like this or like this, because I never knew when I was at the end of the row. And now I've learnt, and I would suggest this to any novice crocheter, to always put a stitch marker at the start of the row and the end of the row, and then you know exactly where your hook has to go for that last or first stitch. That has saved me a lot of headaches. So I actually have an almost finished object talking about bags. This is another one of my bags, and this one went without any hitches, I'm glad to say. I've still got to sew the ends in, and I've just got 2 buttons to sew on. So this is the bag. I've also got a vinyl insert to put in the bottom, so if you want to use it as a market bag, it just, you know, makes it a little, it won't be so droopy down the bottom. Won't sag so much. I really love these colours, and the handles are here. So the handles are actually, it'll look better when these ends are sewn in, of course. That's the handles. And it has 2 little loops. Turn it around the other way. So here's one on this side, which will come over and fasten to a button, which will go here where that stitch marker is. And there's one on the other side as well. And that just makes it a little more secure when you've got your shopping in there. Now that used Bendigo Woolen Mills 10 ply cotton, so that's like an Aran weight. It's a really soft cotton, and it's really nice and hard wearing for making bags. I know cotton is not the most environmentally friendly thing to be on this planet to produce, but these bags, you can wash them over and over. They'll outlive you, honestly. So, you know, there's always a payoff, isn't there? You try to do the right thing for the environment, but somewhere down the chain, there is always a process that's not good for the environment. But I figure in the end, if you end up with a product that you can use over and over again, and if it ever did end its way into landfill, it would just rot down. You know, if you left this out in the weather and the rain, it would just go back into the earth with no problems. So yeah, there's always a price to pay, I guess. I think the problem with cotton is it uses so much water. I think that's what the problem is. I don't really know. I am no expert in these things, but it's lovely to knit with. It's a product that you can use over and over and over and over and over. So it can't be too bad. I'm also making another one in these colours. So I've got a lovely mustard and a brown, but it's a brown that's almost got an orangey hue to it. And I've got this peachy colour and a cream. That's my crochet hook sticking out in the middle. How's that? Looks like a deformed multicoloured snowman or something. That will have to be the thumbnail for this video, I think. And this, I've got a long way to go yet on this one. I actually bought 2 balls of the creamy colour because I need 2 balls of the main colour. One's not enough. And I was looking yesterday everywhere for the second ball because this is going to all be gone fairly quickly. These are 200 gram balls and they're really good value, but I couldn't find this ball anywhere. And yes, this morning when I was clearing a space in this messy craft room of mine to record my podcast, I found a bag and in it was the ball of wool, ball of cotton. So I'm very glad, and of course I've already ordered a spare one, haven't I, when I thought I couldn't find it. But that's okay, I might have ordered a couple of other colours as well. So this is the colours so far. I'm starting with the brown. And I think after that I'm going to go to the mustard and then the peach. What do you think? Or do you think the peach and then the mustard? I think I like it that way better. It's very hard to hold them up to see. I like the mustard kind of blends in a bit. Yeah, I think that way. If you tell me which order you prefer. I'll be able to get a bit of that done this afternoon because I'm going to sit and watch the tennis here in Australia, watch Ash Barty. We won't talk about any of the other tennis controversies, but I do want to watch Ash Barty, so that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. Okay, that's almost it for today. Before I wind up, I just want to do a little prize draw. I asked you last time to leave a comment on my new Ravelry group, and what I'm going to give away, now these colours don't really match, but you can put them into whatever projects you like. I have 2 skeins of the beautiful Dingo Dye Works yarn. Now she doesn't dye anymore, so these are like gold. And they're in her Jumbuck base, which is a single, and it's a fingering weight. Now this first colour is called Spinifex and Quartz. Now Peter used to dye all her yarns. I'm sorry about the light in here. I had to film inside today because we have had a very strong easterly blowing this morning. It's going to be 33 degrees, 38 tomorrow, 39 on Wednesday. Bring on winter. But I can't record outside when it's windy because all you hear in the microphone is the wind. So I'm sorry the light's not that great in here. But this is the Spinifex and Quartz. And Peter got all her inspiration from the colours of Australia, and in particular Western Australia. And Spinifex is a grass that you find out in the outback a lot, and it's sort of I think it's the one that becomes like tumbleweed. When it's all dry, it blows around in the wind and forms like a ball. Yeah, so but it's very prevalent out in our outback because it doesn't need a lot of water. They're beautiful colours. So I've got that one. So that's 100 grams and there's 400 metres in there. And the other one is the same base and it's called Holly Grevillea. And Grevillea here is one of our West Australian wildflowers, and it comes in all different varieties of colours from pale pinks through to the deepest reds. That's beautiful. So you could use that as in a shawl or a scarf, or just, maybe I don't want to give it away. No, I will. I'll behave myself. So those are going to someone, and I'm going to draw now. Now, there were 22 comments, and half of those are probably mine. So I'm just going to go to keep it all open because I know one of my friends made a comment, and I don't want, and she's going to be with me, Charmaine, on my next podcast, and I don't want anyone to think I'm favouring her. So I'm just got my phone here, and I'm going to random.org. Oh, you can't see that very well. Okay, so we're going from number 1 to 22, and we're going to generate, and the number is 20. So we're going to go into my post now and see who number 20 was. 20 was one of my posts. So I'm just going to go back in and do it again. Or what I'll do is I shall make the winner the person who I was replying to. I think that is fair. And the person I replied to was Aussie Knitter. up here. Oh, sorry, I put my finger there and you can't see. So Aussie Knitter, she wrote, I'm going to read it out. I hope you don't mind, Aussie Knitter. Hi Jill, it's so nice to see an Aussie YouTuber. Go Aussies. Thank you so much for your lovely content. I'm living in Brisbane. Oh, we were supposed to come there for Christmas. But I lived in Perth for a few years. My daughter and family have just moved to Perth, so we might be crossing each other on the Nullarbor one of these days. For our international viewers, the Nullarbor Plain is a huge area of desert that separates Western Australia to the rest of our country. And it's like one long straight road that takes you 2 days to travel across. And there's hardly any trees, it's barren, but it's spectacular as well. And it's almost like on every Aussie's bucket list to drive across the Nullarbor. We're going to drive across with our caravan in a couple of years. So Aussie Knitter, I'm not sure what your real name is. Let's see if we can find out. No? Well, Aussie Knitter, I would like you to send me a direct message on Ravelry or Instagram, and I shall organise to get these sent out to you. So well done, Aussie Knitter. And remember to start leaving comments on my new thread that I'll open up in the next day or two, and probably at the beginning of May. What we'll do is we'll do it in the beginning of April, because we're hopefully going to be in Queensland for May. So the middle of April, when I do my podcast, we shall draw another prize winner then. So congratulations, Aussie Knitter. I'm just going to write that down so I don't forget. So to finish up, I'm going to show you a little bit of footage from another trip to Denmark. We went down there the week before Christmas because it was our friend who lives down there. It was her 60th birthday. We had a lovely treat. We gave her a surprise and took her to a day spa called the Chimes Day Spa at Denmark, and that was beautiful, and what a superb location. So I'm going to show you some photos of that here. We then came home for Christmas, and then we went back to Denmark to spend New Year with our dear friends down there. Because all this time, we were supposed to arrive back from Brisbane on New Year's Day, and then we would have had to gone into isolation for 2 weeks. But because we weren't, that all got thrown out the window, and instead of sitting at home and being miserable, our friends invited us down to Denmark, and we had a lovely few days with them. Lots of fun and frivolity on New Year's Eve. I actually did make it till midnight, but wasn't long out of bed after that. So I want to show you a couple of photos and film clips. They're collecting quite a few animals down there. They now have 2 alpacas. I hope I don't forget anyone. 2 alpacas, 4 sheep, Daisy the cow, who's having a calf next month, 3 geese. They have Molly, their greyhound, rescue greyhound. They now have Luther. Now Luther is a Kelpie, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but we call them sheepdogs here in Australia. And he is the funniest little thing. He chases those sheep up and down the fence all day long. My husband was also digging a big hole to plant a tree. So Luther thought he would help. So I took a little bit of video of that to show you. I missed the best part, which was Luther jumping in the hole and lying there. By the time I got my video camera out, John had managed to get him out of the hole. And by then he dug a few more, shovelfuls of dirt out. And then it was too deep for Luther to get in. But I still took a bit of video footage because watching Luther try to chase the shovel was quite funny. There's also some footage of him running along the fence line trying his best to be a sheepdog. So I hope you enjoy, and I shall see you in 4 weeks' time. Bye for now, and happy knitting. Bye.